The release of the monthly jobs report. Let's bring in CNBC's Dominic Chu. Dom, how does it look?
All right, so Willie, what we have right now is the non-farm payrolls, the big jobs number coming in. 213,000 jobs. That's better than the analyst or economist expectation for 195,000 jobs. The unemployment rate, though, did tick higher to 4% overall. It was 3.8% the month before that. Average hourly earnings, are people making more money? They're making 0.2% more per paycheck on a month-over-month basis between May to June. However, that also represents a 2.7% increase on a year-over-year basis. I will also point out the U6 rate, which is what some people call the underemployment rate. Some folks like to look at that as a better measure of whether or not people are actually working in the jobs they want. That's at 7.8%. The labor force participation rate did tick a little bit higher. More people looking for jobs, 62.9%. A couple of industries to focus on as well. Professional and business services added 50,000 jobs. Manufacturing added 36,000 jobs, healthcare 25,000 jobs, and construction 13,000 jobs. The notable decline over the course of the last month with regard to job losses was in retail, where we saw 22,000 jobs lost. You put all of that together, and over the past 2 months, guys, between April and May, the Labor Department did raise their estimates, or raise the number of people in those 2 months higher from the previous reports by around 37,000 jobs. So overall, Wall Street is looking at this as a possible Goldilocks scenario. It does lock into place this idea that job growth is still happening, and that's the reason why the stock market futures have ticked higher, guys, on the heels of this report.
Okay, again, 213,000 jobs added in the month of June. That's a little bit higher than economists expected. This comes against the backdrop, Dom, of the trade war that started at midnight tonight. When those tariffs went into place for China, China responded in kind. President Trump says he's got more coming down the pike. What are the implications of this back and forth between these two giant economies?
I mean, it's the two biggest economies out there, and that's the reason why a lot of folks are paying such close attention. The reason why it's important here is because the $34 billion worth of tariffs that went into effect for the U.S. against China, and then that same exact dollar amount in kind, is being viewed as something that was kind of priced into the market, which is why the markets aren't selling off wholesale on this. What it comes down to is what the next steps are for President Trump and President Xi in China. President Trump has threatened or floated out this idea that he could go up to $500 billion worth of Chinese goods. Now, just to put that in context, the entire amount that China actually exports to the United States is around $500 billion in goods. That's what it was in 2017. The reason why this could be an interesting development is because we import a lot of stuff from China, but China doesn't import nearly the amount of stuff from us. So when we talk about this escalation of a trade war, we have the ability, theoretically, the United States, in taxing a whole heck of a lot more Chinese goods than they do for ours. So the question becomes what the next real step is here.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.